guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back with more Q-related news because I couldn't fit it all in one video and there is so much. In fact, I had a hard time kind of paring it down even for this video because really I could do 4 or 5 tonight if my strength would hold out. There is enough news for that many videos, seriously. But anyway, let's get right into it. It is still May 1st and it is now 11:47, so it is almost May 2nd. So anyway, let's go over to the news here. I was just making sure that everything is still running properly because sometimes it has a way of just shutting itself off for no reason at all. All right, let's take a look at this. Yeah, listen to this, okay? I think you're going to enjoy this.
Last time he was here, they said, has Bob Mueller expressed any...
Now, this is Senator Chuck Grassley, if you don't know, and this is after they were grilling Attorney General Barr and all of the drama that ensued with that. I don't know how much you've seen of what went on in Congress today, but it was something. So listen to this.
Concerns to you, and he said, no, and I don't know if there are any concerns. He had had a letter, he had had a phone call. Yeah. The letter clearly says there are concerns. So
he had that conversation, and you heard him say, and I have to assume that Mueller said it to him, that he was only concerned about how the media played it. So I think here's where we are. The Democrats and you folks in the media are not concerned about the report. I think you're concerned about the results weren't what you expected. And I think we're finding out that everybody was sold a bunch of snake oil, and now the jig's up.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. They're upset about the results of the report. It wasn't what they wanted. And the interesting thing was, or the interesting thing is, rather, that, you know, if they had found Trump guilty, they wouldn't be arguing about any of this. They would have said, hey, you know what? They found him guilty. No more. We don't want to discuss it anymore. He's guilty. You know, let's impeach him, whatever. So it's interesting. And oh my gosh, these people are nasty. They're meaner than snakes. Really. My mind was boggled by some of the questioning, especially the questioning by Kamala Harris. Unbelievable. That is one nasty, nasty woman. I would not want to go up against her because I don't think I could, keep my cool. I really don't think I could. AG Barr did really, really well, I think, with handling it. All right, now let's go back to here and let's take a look at, I believe, this one, or maybe I looked at this already. Nope, this is it. Okay. Now, this, it says, that look on our girl Sarah Carter's face says it all. And now Act 2 begins. And remember, you know, when Q talked about Act 2, the investigation into the investigators. That's what's next. That's what's coming up next. Now let's listen to Sarah Carter.
The President of the United States did not conspire with Russia. That's an absolute fact, did not. And there was absolutely no obstruction because there was nothing to obstruct. And now Act 2 begins, as John said, the investigation into the investigators.
Now, that's the part I can get really excited about, is the investigation into the investigators, because that's what we're all waiting for. That's like, you know, It's like when you go to a movie and you've been watching all the previews and everything, which are interesting, but then, the main event comes on. So that's what we're waiting for, the main event. And not only the investigation into the investigators, but where that will lead and what will happen, because we want justice. All right, let's take a look at this. And if this does not leave you gobsmacked, I don't know what will, really. Then maybe you need to check your pulse, because you might be dead. I don't know. But this just blew my mind. All right. JFK Jr. wrote in George Magazine, 1996. And remember, George Magazine was a political magazine that JFK Jr. had way back. And he says, well, I'm going to show you what he says in the magazine. He says, we sure hope you enjoy George's take on the future. Why not put it in a safe place somewhere and take it out in 20 years? And then he says, to paraphrase a great Englishman, it may not get you what you want, but you just might find it will get you what you need. And we know, of course, that was Trump's song that he used, right? Unbelievable to me. Now it says, take out for 20 years. You can't always get what you want. And that is Trump's campaign song. Now, isn't that interesting? I think so. And 20 years would have put it at 2016, wouldn't it? I'm horrible at that. But I believe it would. So I think that that's just extremely interesting. It's like this whole thing has been planned. I think it has. All right. Now let's go back. Now, come on, admit it. Admit it. That surprised you, didn't it? Come on. Come on. Admit it. Alrighty. We'll go on. You don't have to admit it if you don't want to. That's fine. But I know you were surprised. Okay, let's look at this. If any of you need jobs, here is a job that might interest you. But I hope if it does interest you that we never meet. Job cuts. Saudi Arabia beheading so many prisoners it needs more executioners as kingdom is tipped to set new slaughter record. The news comes after it butchered 37 people in one bloody day last week, meaning it is now on target to kill a record number of its citizens in 2019. Oh, goody. This was from the 28th of April, so I'm a little bit late with this. I've meant to bring it. I'm not going to show anything gory. The ruthless Saudi government is beheading so many prisoners it needs to recruit a deadly new squad of sword-wielding executioners. So if any of you are looking for a job and this appeals to you, like I said, I hope we never meet, but here's your job. Go have at it. The news comes after it slaughtered 37 people in one bloody day last week, meaning it is now tipped to kill a record number of its citizens in 2019. The Sharia law-run state has advertised for 8 new executioners to handle the projected rise in brutal public beheadings. Now, there's a job that I bet you, well, I don't know. I was going to say I bet you there's people not lining up to take that job, but you never know, because I remember I was always very interested in World War II, and I studied it extensively, and they called them the Einsatzgruppen, and these were the mobile killing people that would go from town to town killing. They would round them up, and they would take them, dig a pit, and they would, kill them. And they said that people, it was unbelievable, the people that wanted that job. In fact, there were doctors and lawyers in the Einsatzgruppen. Unbelievable. Yeah, they left those jobs to go kill people. So, so I would like to think that nobody'd want that job, but apparently there probably are plenty of people. Anyway, no special qualifications are needed. I'm sure they'll train you. Whose main role is executing a judgment of death, but also involves performing amputations on those convicted of lesser offenses. you know, so if you steal something or whatever, you just get a hand cut off. So you'd be responsible for that too. So you probably need a really strong arm, strong hand, and a good sword. That would be my guess. The macabre job advert was reportedly posted on the country's civil service jobs portal. Saudi Arabia has one of the world's highest rates of execution. Suspects convicted of terrorism, homicide, rape, armed robbery, and drug trafficking face the death penalty. It has carried out nearly 600 executions since the start of 2014, more than a third of them in drug cases. More than 140 people were put to death in the kingdom last year, where convicts are usually beheaded using a huge, excuse me. Yes, that was a sneeze. People make fun of my sneezes. They're like, what was that? More than 100, using a huge curved sword. Public beheadings will typically take place around 9 a.m. So, you know, if you're like a night owl like I am, this wouldn't be a good job for me. You know, it wouldn't. But because I really am a night owl, I can stay up all night and work. And yeah. 9 o'clock, that's not too bad. Most people can get up by 9. Yeah. But anyway, not a job I'd be interested in. Not saying that. But anyway, public beheadings will typically take place around 9 a.m. When the convicted person is walked into a square and made to kneel in front of the executioner. The executioner uses a sword known as a sultan to remove the condemned person's head from his or her body at the neck. Statisticians have now projected more than 170 will be put to the sword this year, a record for modern times. Rights groups began documenting execution numbers in the early 2000s, and the figures have been trending upwards. Last Tuesday, one prisoner was crucified and another had his head impaled on a spike during dozens of sickening executions. Well, I could have done without reading that. Anyway, held over 1 day in the ruthless kingdom, those killed during the beheading bloodbath have all been convicted of terrorism offenses in the hardline desert country. The killings were carried out by Riyadh, the Muslim holy cities of Mecca and Medina, central Qasim province, and eastern province, home to the country's Shiite minority. Saudi authorities later revealed one person was crucified after his executioner, a punishment reserved for what are deemed very serious offenses. It also publicly placed the executed body and severed head of a convicted Sunni extremist on a spike as a warning to others. So glad we live in a civilized country. Lawmakers said the men were charged with adopting terrorist extremist ideology, forming terrorist cells, and harming the peace and security of society. One of the men executed was just 16 at the time of his arrest, according to Amnesty International. Those executed had been involved in attacking a base, killing a number of security officers, the Saudi press agency statement said. Amnesty International said they were convicted after sham trials that relied on confessions through torture. I went to cover this down here, realizing that it wouldn't cover it for you guys because, you know, I'm sure you, you don't want to look at bums. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Mom finds 25 bite marks on daughter after picking her up from nursery. See, this is it's ADHD. Okay. All right, so there you go. I'm not going to read more of this, and it's absolutely sickening to me. It really is. I can't, because the thing is there, and I know you say, oh, well, if they were involved in terrorist activity, then maybe they deserved it. But the problem is there, how do you get a fair trial? You don't. You don't. So, okay, let's go back. Maybe I can find something a little happier. Huh? I hope anyway, because that was just brutal. Okay, well, this isn't much better. I'm sorry, but Alabama State Representative John Rogers, Democrat, on abortion. Some kids are unwanted, so you kill them now or you kill them later. You bring them in the world unwanted, unloved, you send them to the electric chair. So you kill them now or you kill them later. Now, let's listen to this guy who doesn't sound like he's the brightest light on the marquee, if you get my drift. All right.
All I'm saying to you, it ought to be a woman's choice. I'm not about to be, as a male, tell a woman what to do with her body. She has the right to make that decision herself. Through rape or incest. Some kids are unwanted. So you kill them now, kill them later. You bring them in the world unwanted, unloved. Then you send them to the electric chair. So you kill them now or kill them later. But the bottom line is that I think we should be making this decision.
Okay. Now, doesn't this the way this guy talks reminds me of the guy from Guam that was, nervous about people coming to the island because he thought the island was going to tip over. Like, obviously he had to have been smoking something really, really strong. But this reminds me of him for some reason, because he just doesn't sound like he's the sharpest tool. I don't know, but he's most certainly, that's a horrific thing to say. Kill them now or kill them later. All right. Well, I guess I'm glad I'm not in Alabama. All right. Let's go back now, because there is more. No, really, there is. There's a lot more, but okay. Now, Pelosi. Pelosi says Bill Barr will be obstructing Congress if he chooses to skip Thursday's hearing before the House Judiciary Committee. Well, he's already said he's not going to be there. And after the way he was treated today, I don't blame him. Boy, they're really big. This website, the Gateway Pundit, they're really big on these new belly fat melting recipes. I don't know if they're trying to tell me something, or maybe they're trying to tell you something. I don't know. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi claimed Attorney General Bill Barr would be obstructing justice if he chooses to skip Thursday's scheduled hearing before the House Judiciary Committee, the AP reported. Bill Barr is scheduled to testify about Mueller's report, but he is sparring with House Democrats on the Judiciary Committee over the proposed platform and extra 30-minute rounds of questioning for Thursday's hearing. Each member of the Judiciary Committee will have 5 minutes of questioning, but Chairman Jerry Nadler added an additional round that would allow both sides to question Barr for 30 minutes each. Nadler also proposed additional questioning in a closed-door session to discuss redacted material in Robert Mueller's report. Barr rejected the additional 30-minute rounds and the closed-door questioning. However, a deal may be reached before the scheduled hearing for Thursday. Nadler pushed back and threatened to subpoena Barr to compel testimony. Pelosi echoed Nadler and said that the Attorney General or any other witness can't tell the committee how to conduct its interviews. The Speaker then added, the Attorney General of the United States is not the President's personal lawyer, and he should act as the Attorney General of the United States and honor his responsibilities. Bill Barr is also scheduled to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Wednesday, which he did. That was today. These people, really, honestly, they behave worse than school children, because really, I've had to teach a kindergarten class before, and they're well behaved compared to these guys. Well behaved. They share. They're polite to each other. Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go back. And let's look at this. Can't remember what this is, but let's hope it's something good. Oh, yes. Remember, I've been looking for this, actually. Just when I was thinking that the junior Congresswoman, AOC from New York, was at the bottom of the intellectual barrel, Speaker Pelosi steps up to prove me wrong. I hope she is just a little more coherent when visiting the White House to discuss infrastructure with POTUS. Now, this was from a few days ago, but I've been looking for it. And now I found it, because you have to hear this. It's 1 minute long. If you can figure out what she's talking about, please tell me. All right. Tell me if you think that this woman is, I was going to say, intellectually together enough to be the Speaker of the House. You tell me after listening to this.
I love coming here this week that we observe the birth of our presidents, in particular George, our founding father, and our founding mother, George Washington and Martha Washington. We followed his lead on protecting the butterfly sanctuary, the knowledge that he has of the region, being a border member of Congress, and what that meant was we would have hundreds of millions of dollars. And we had the opportunity to meet with David Higgerson, the director of field for the CPD detection. But that's what will happen on Monday. Mr. Castro's resolution will go to the Rules Committee. Again, I thank my friend here, my colleague, Mr. Cuellar, and now it's more there's
What is she talking about? Do you know? Please tell me. It's interesting to me in watching this because there was a moment there where she was looking over to the side and her eyes went completely blank, and then it's like it kicks in again. And I see this time and time again with Nancy Pelosi. It's like you can see it in her eyes that it's gone and she's blank and she panics for a second and then it comes back. So there's something going on with her, and people say, oh well, she's just drunk, she's an alcoholic, whatever. But I don't think that's all that's going on. It could be a part of it, but I don't think that's all of it. She just, I don't know. To me, there looks like there's an issue with Alzheimer's or Kuru, or I don't know what is the issue, but there's an issue. There's a really big issue. All right, let's go back and let's look at this. Oh, to be Japan. Japan, not taking in refugees, says it must look after its citizens first. Now, now if Trump said that, hey, we're not taking in any refugees, we got to look after our own citizens first. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the hell on earth that would break out in the United States if President Trump said that? Seriously, think about it. But Japan doesn't have a problem. And there was another country, too, that's banned all refugees. And after seeing what's happening to all the countries that's taking them in, now he's talking, he's not talking about Mexican refugees or Central American refugees. You know what he's talking about. But when you look at the countries that have taken them in, there's problems in every single one of them now. There's higher crime. There's unbelievable amounts of rape, church burnings. I mean, you name it. So I'm not going to read all this, but I just wanted to show you that, good for him. Because, that's what he's paid to do. He's paid to put the concerns of the Japan's citizens first. And that's all Trump is trying to do. He's trying to put Americans first. But Americans don't seem to want to put Americans first. Some Americans don't want to put Americans first. All right, let's, and I say that as an immigrant. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with him saying Americans first. And that includes, putting Americans ahead of immigrants such as myself. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. All right, now this is the last thing, and well, no, it's not the last thing, but it's almost the last thing, and I've been holding on to this for a while too. The Khashoggi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, murder suspect found dead in Turkish prison. Just about 7 months have passed since Jamal Khashoggi, a former government insider turned critic of Saudi Crown Prince MBS, walked into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul and disappeared, sparking an international scandal that prompted several governments, though notably not the U.S., to suspend arms sales and spoiling MBS's second Davos in the desert as dozens of CEOs and scheduled speakers pulled out. Considering the intensity of the backlash to Khashoggi's murder at the hands of a government death squad, something the Saudi kingdom begrudgingly admitted following weeks of denial, though it was insisted that the team had only been sent to talk to Khashoggi, and that his killing, dismemberment, and the destruction of his remains were the work of rogue operatives, it's a testament to the shoddy attention span of the global public and their political and business leaders that the scandal has been so quickly forgotten. But as the public has moved on to criticize KSA's mass executions and the brutal proxy war in Yemen, it appears at least one government involved in the Khashoggi affair might be taking advantage of the fact that the spotlight has moved away to seek some brutal retribution. On Monday, Wall Street Journal reported that one of the two suspected United Arab Emirates spies under investigation by the Turkish government for playing some unspecified role in Khashoggi's killing, and who were helping Saudi and its allies spy on Arab critics living in Turkey, has been found hanged in his cell at a notorious Turkish prison. The cause of death was quickly ruled a suicide. Of course. Just thought that was interesting. I'm not going to read it all, but thought it was interesting. I thought some of you might be interested in that. And I can't remember what this is, but let's look. Let's take a look. Could be something really interesting. Oh, yeah, this is actually just, well, I shouldn't say just, talking about another Catholic church that was vandalized, this in Italy. And Christianity is under attack worldwide, and yet the mainstream media is silent. Seems to be happening to churches all over the world, and the U.S. is not immune because, as I said in the video before this, there were two churches just torched, either today or yesterday. So very, very recently anyway. Now, I don't think that they burned to the ground or anything. I do believe that they were saved, but still, there's somebody out there torching churches, vandalizing churches, and this is really on the rise. So anyway, that is it for now. That is all the Q-related news that I have for you now, even though there's a lot more I could get into. But it is 12/13. It's now May 2nd. So you've been listening to this from May 1st to May 2nd. Wow, it's a long time. Anyway, I am going to close out for this evening. I will be back tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have some Q posts tomorrow. But if not, there is a ton of news because there's so much happening. Anyway, that is it for tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, that you sleep well, stay safe, stay well, and seek truth. And I will talk to you tomorrow, I hope. Don't make me just come here alone. I mean, I look forward to hanging out with you guys. So see you then. Good night.